Hey everybody, and welcome. I'm in Eugene, Oregon, at beautiful Hendricks Park, and we have the USA National Track and Field Championships coming up this week, and it's really exciting. Got some great races, and got my Athletics West shirt on in commemoration of that. And a friend of mine, my new friend Jerry, said, "Andy, make a foot video." So I'm gonna make a foot video, and my phone is propped up, so hopefully it doesn't fall over. And I know my eyes are baggy because I'm not sleeping much these days. But I want to show you the foot. And I'm not going to talk too much about motions because they're not necessary really to understand the foot. We can name stuff, but it doesn't really show us how it functions. So we'll talk about the anatomy first, and then I'm going to show you what happens when it pronates. So first off, if you can see the foot, here is the inside arch, and you can see how much room there is. So when the foot collapses, it does that. Okay, this is the first toe. This is where most of your power comes from when you push off the ground. So it's very important this gets planted. So that's a big part of pronation. So here's the lateral arch. If we look from the back, you'll notice how off-center the calcaneus is compared to the talus. So this little groove right here is where Tom, Dick, and Harry, the muscles that attach to the bottom of the foot run. So you can imagine how much those are stretched when first the calcaneus goes that way, the talus spins on top of it. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But you have a spinning motion where it goes like this. And it spins on top of the navicular, and the navicular spins on the cuboids, or the cuneiforms. And that point right there is really important. We'll talk about that. That spinning is what allows the forefoot to flatten. So from the back, you can notice it's off center, talus, and we have fifth metatarsal and first metatarsal. We pull the foot around and we can see the lateral arch. Right here is there's a ligament that is very, very important. Again, we'll talk about that later. That's what can really limit this functioning of the foot moving like this and like this. Again, we have calcaneus, cuboid, fourth and fifth metatarsal. Now, what I want you to notice is there's a very clear distinction between the lateral line and the medial line, and that's right here. So I'm going to pull it apart. And you'll notice if we look underneath the talus, this is where the body weight comes out, and the talus is basically just floating. And the tibia, I broke my tibia. The cool thing about bones is when you break them, they get cooler because you get to see the inside. And I think it really shows their function when you get to see the grooves and say, now what would that do if that was getting smashed on the ground, right? How would that rotate? And that sort of gives you an idea of what they might do. Or you can just take a bone and do it. So that's what we're going to do. So here we go. We're going to take it into full pronation. So this would be coming into the ground. Whoa! No, okay, I'm going to take this off. Push the foot. Actually, no, we'll use this to push this down. Bam! Okay, there's like full pronation. Okay, that's a bit extreme, I know, but you can see how this collapses right here. That's a massive, massive eccentric load on the tendons of the muscles of the back of the leg. Just loads them like crazy, so they get all this tension. And then when the body weight comes forward over the top, it loads it even more, so that when we come off the big toe, it just propels us. So if you don't have that mechanism happening, you lose function of the big toe and you lose pronation and absorption of force. Okay, so let's look at the motions of the bone as it collapses. So we call this abduction, which we talked about, okay? It just drops that way. That dropping is what allows this surface underneath the talus to spin down and in. So it goes whoop, and then, if you can see this, it spins on the navicular. The navicular spins the opposite direction, which spreads these three bones out, thus allowing the forefoot to collapse and allowing all those tendons to load and the plantar fascia so we can propel ourselves off the ground. The lateral ballast, what do I want to say here? The lateral ballast, so it's basically, I almost like it like an outrigger on a canoe. So it's designed, when we hit the ground, we supinate, like our foot is like this, so the calcaneus is rotated like that, or the heel bone. Where was I? The calcaneus hits the bone. Okay, If you want to test this on your client, just supinate their foot, and you should have a very rigid lever. If you flatten it, they should have a really wiggly foot. So check it on them, and you'll see that will unlock the metatarsals. And the metatarsals unlocking is what allows the foot to pronate and us to pronate up our body, because the tibia internally rotates on the talus and the femur internally rotates on the tibia. And that connection is really important. We'll talk about breakdowns in that, and that's where you get that full lockup of your leg. And a lot of that comes from locking of the joints. And actually, that when it starts to creep down your leg, a lot of that is coming from your hamstring attaching to the backside of your fibular head, the top part, and it pulling it backward pushes the distal part forward, jamming the talus right here, so you can't go into dorsiflexion. So that's how your body shuts you down. But I don't think we were talking about that. So we'll go back to what we were talking about. Okay, back to this. Talus spins down and in. I think we got here. Navicular spins these three bones, and that collapses. Body weight passes over the top. So as we talked about, the calf muscle is what causes the knee to extend in function. Something has to hold the foot to the ground. The eccentric load of all of these motions holds the foot on the ground, and the knee passes over. So the knee motion is for free. It's not created by muscle function. Okay? The calf holds the foot on the ground and allows the knee to extend, even though it does not extend the knee in function, if that makes sense. It's a different way of looking at things, but I think if we can start to visualize three-dimensionally what's happening, we can really start to enhance our own athletic performance and those of our clients. So anyway, here's my first video. Hope you like it. I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to put it on. So hopefully this works, and hope you guys are having a great day. And if you want to tune in to the national championships, it's going to be on TV. So it's going to be awesome stuff. And Sydney's running. Hopefully the open floor. Okay, bye.